Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I've got 5 big books for you to lose yourself in over the festive season. So this video was partly inspired by Brenda at the channel Sleuth Slut, who recently put up a video with recommendations for crime novels to get you through certain festive situations, shall we say. And one of those situations was, being on your own and having a lot of free time. And I'm someone who, I've got a couple of weeks off work and I will be having some time alone, I expect, over the festive season as well, for various reasons. So it got me thinking about that kind of lovely feeling of having an expanse of time when you can just lose yourself in a book. So I've got for you now 5 books which I think you can really lose yourself in. So all big books. A couple of them are books I've talked about on the channel before, but I've never included them in one of my list videos before. And they come from a range of genres, but they are all broadly in the kind of thrilling popular fiction bubble, if you like. So we've got some horror, some crime fiction, some kind of horrific sci-fi, and a wonderful western. So let me talk you through them and see what you think. So first up we have The Given Day by Dennis Lehane. So Lehane is a really fantastic crime writer, best known probably for his Kenzie and Gennaro series of mysteries, some of which have been filmed, and also for his novel Shutter Island, which was filmed quite famously with Leonardo DiCaprio. So he's a really, really good writer. The Given Day is a bit different in that it's a historical crime novel. So the first in a trilogy. So you can really lose yourself in it if you want to do the whole trilogy. So set in Boston just after the end of the First World War, and pulls in a load of different characters. So it's one of those books that's just really rich in terms of building a picture of a time and a place and throwing loads of characters in as well. So the main character is a young policeman, and the story revolves around kind of anarchist movements, the union movement, mob bosses. It's got a bit of everything in it. A bit of romance, lots of action, lots of thrills and spills, a bit of kind of political drama. Just a really rich and enjoyable novel. I absolutely loved it. And I really am keen to get to the following books in the series, which I haven't managed to do yet. Next up, something completely different, but equally good. This is Battle Royale by Koushun Takami. So probably quite well known for the movie adaptation of it. And there's also a manga adaptation, which is really good as well. So a fantastically grim Japanese novel about a dystopian future where every year a class of high school students are taken to an island and given the task of basically fighting it out and seeing who survives for the entertainment of the viewing public. So I think very much an inspiration for the Hunger Games books, but this is much darker, much bloodier, much more violent, but just really, really well done. So loads of different characters, as you'd imagine, given that it's about a whole class. But you do get to know all of them, even when you only get to know them so you could then witness their deaths. But a fantastically gripping and quite angry novel, and really, really grimly entertaining from the first page to the last. Next up we have The Terror by Dan Simmons, something else that was filmed recently, so I've actually just finished watching the TV adaptation of it, which was excellent. So again, historical novel, this time about a failed expedition to the Antarctic, so based on a true story, but with a load of kind of supernatural and horror elements thrown in. Just fantastically rich and engrossing. It's quite slow paced at times, but the attention to detail that Dan Simmons has put into this, as he does with many of his books, is really fantastic, and you really get the feeling of what it would have been like to be on an expedition like that. So yeah, quite scary at times, quite moving at times, often very, very exciting. But the sense you take away from it more than anything is that dread of being trapped in a completely inhospitable environment with people around you who you can't necessarily trust. So an absolutely fantastic book, and some wonderful kind of character development in it as well. Next up, a book I have talked about on the channel before. Definitely a book to lose yourself in. House of Leaves by Mark Z Danielewski. So a famously complex and weird book, which features very strange kind of storytelling techniques, a real mix of different styles and things like that in this book. But at its heart, a really kind of uncanny story about a family who move into a very strange house that appears to be kind of physically impossible. So I thought this was a fantastic book, but it is a difficult book just because its structure and the way that Danielewski lays out the story is so weird. So definitely a good book to pick up if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you can really concentrate on reading it. And then finally, something a lot less complex and arguably a lot more fun than House of Leaves. So this is the book Nunslinger by Stark Holborn. So this was originally published as 12 novellas, but is available as a single volume edition now, which is just over 600 pages. So this is a wonderfully enjoyable story of the Old West. And it feels very much like a kind of like the old kind of Saturday morning pictures in terms of the fact that it is 12 novellas stitched together. It's definitely got an episodic feel, but it works brilliantly. So it's about a nun, as the title would suggest, in the Old West, like fighting for her survival basically, and going on various adventures and trying to escape from this particularly odious cavalry captain. So yeah, a really gripping, exciting, quite funny at times, got fantastic cliffhangers, as you'd expect from something like this at the end of each of the novellas, and a wonderful, slightly left field depiction of the Old West as well. So a book I really enjoyed. Okay, time for a random book from the shelves. Today's book is something similarly huge to the other books I've talked about, but one I haven't read yet. That is City on Fire by Garth Risk Holborn. So a 70s set thriller set in New York, which has got great reviews on the cover. I haven't yet tackled it. I think it's supposed to be quite a challenging read in some respects, not least probably because of its length, but definitely one I'm keen to get to at some point. So I hope you found that interesting. If you do have lots of free time over Christmas and you dive into any of the books I suggested, do let me know how you got on with them. If you've read either of them already, let me know what you thought of them. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.